If you work at a nonprofit or with a nonprofit, the next 10 minutes will change your life. No, I am not exaggerating. Today, I am honored to present my first guest episode of Inside Google Ads featuring Jason King. Jason is a Google Ad Grants expert. Now, I know anyone can call themselves an expert, but Jason is the real deal. He is a Google Ad Grants certified professional, and this is a way bigger deal than being a Google partner, although he's one of those too. Jason is one of less than 50 people in the world to be recognized as a Google Ad Grants certified professional by Google. He launched the Google Ad Grants Complete course this year and also offers one-on-one consultations for nonprofits. And as if that weren't enough, he is also a diamond product expert in the Google Help community. That is the highest possible status you can achieve, and it means he has spent years of his life answering questions from nonprofits around the world for free in Google's ad grant forums. I first met Jason on Twitter a few years ago, and since then he has been my go-to person for all things ad grants. I am thrilled that he's agreed to share his expertise with you today. So without further ado, let's hand the mic over to Jason King for Inside Google Ads, episode 27, Ad Grants.
Thank you, Jyll, for inviting me to the podcast. I'd like to speak briefly about Google Ad Grant. Now, that's the free $229 a day that Google gives to registered nonprofits in about 50 or 60 countries for them to run search ads. There's a number of limitations on the program. So being able to run search ads is certainly one of them. You can't run display ads, you can't run shopping ads, all sorts of other types. So your search ads are basically keywords based. So you have to think of the words that people are typing into Google and then write ads to put your message across in response to what people are searching for. Now, a lot of nonprofits get an ad grant and they struggle to use it. And there are many reasons they struggle. It's not helped by the fact that the support documentation is very much outdated, years out of date. And the program has changed over the years in many ways. For example, if you're trying to do something like set up conversion tracking to track whether your ads are leading to real world results, you won't even find an article on that because Google's advice on this predates Google Analytics 4. Some of their advice has only just been updated to reflect the fact that these days you only need to write one ad per ad group, for example. So you'll often find a lot of old, outdated advice telling you you need to write 2 ads at least. Now, the biggest single question, the most common question I get asked is, why am I not getting many impressions? In other words, why is my ad not being shown even? There's various reasons for this. It can be the wrong bidding strategy. For example, you might be telling Google, just show my ad to as many people as possible, just get as many clicks as possible. Or you could be doing it the proper way, which is to focus on conversions. So your bidding strategy when you start should be maximize conversions and not maximize clicks. That single mistake can flatline your results or just stop you getting any momentum whatsoever. There are other problems that are more built into the system. For example, if you are a very niche organization, to give you an example, if your nonprofit is a health-related one focused on a disease that affects 400 people in the world, the ad grant probably isn't going to be that useful to you. If you are doing something much more common, like a stomach cancer charity, for example, you're going to have no problem. If your nonprofit is very locally based, that can make it difficult to spend. And that's difficult to overcome because you can't suddenly just become an international nonprofit. There are some types of organizations that certainly struggle more than others. And the other reason you can struggle is competition. If you are choosing keywords that are just never going to work because there are competitors out there spending a load of money on their ads, then you're not going to get any momentum whatsoever in the ad grant. It can be very difficult for that reason to run ads for donations in an ad grant, generally you want to be having a paid account as well to run those in. So you need a bit of strategy around what kind of keywords to use in the ad grant and what to use in the paid account. There are some types of keywords as well that face problems with competition, such as legal nonprofits, and nonprofits giving financial advice, nonprofits doing things like small business loans. There are advertisers out there with massive budgets that are just going to prevent your ads being seen at all. You can get clever about this, though. You can usually find keywords that they aren't bidding on. They might be what they call long tail keywords. They might be less common keywords, but with enough of them, you might still make a dent and spend some of that advertising budget.
That was a great overview, Jason. Thank you. So maybe we can do a little bit of Google Ad Grants myth busting with the Ad Grants expert. So first, is it true that when a nonprofit wants to use the ad grant to show an ad on Google search, they are only getting the unsold inventory, like the stuff no paying advertiser wants? Is that how it works?
Sort of, yes. The way it works with ad grants is that all paid ads appear first every time, and all free ads, in other words, the ad grants, appear below all of those. Now, this is like a dual auction system. There are two separate bidding auctions going on. That is one reason why, if there are a lot of paid accounts out there, you can't get shown. Now, if your competition is mainly other nonprofits just with ad grants, then you can beat them because your ads can be better than theirs. You can achieve a better click-through rate by making your ads more relevant to the keywords and more appealing and more likely for people to click. You can add lots of extensions, which are now called assets in Google Ads, to, for example, adding images and your business logo and your business name and lots of site links to suggest other things people might click on. Adding all these might well improve your click-through rate, might make your ad appear above competing nonprofits' ads. You can also work on your keyword quality scores. Your keywords a lot of them will be given a specific quality score based on factors like how good the landing page is, how relevant the ad text is, and so on. If you improve those, then your ads are likely to appear above the competitors. Also, if you get basic things right that they've got wrong, like the bidding strategy, for example, if they've got their bidding strategy wrong and they're using, for example, manual bidding at $2, their ads are very unlikely to get seen. Whereas yours, using a conversion-based bidding strategy, can bid high, might even be bidding $10 to get that click, and you'll win the auction and your ad gets shown. So there's a bit of strategy to this. There's a bit of competition. It's rare to find an ad grant that can't get impressions, that can't get traffic. One thing I'll advise is that I'm talking about getting impressions and getting your ad seen and ideally clicked on. But there's something that's more important than that, and that is getting conversions. The whole goal of your advertising should be real world furthering of your nonprofit's objectives. It should be getting people to sign up, getting people to subscribe to your newsletter so that you have a chance at the end of the year to put a donation ask in front of them, possibly to get donations cold. That doesn't happen much unless you're a big name nonprofit, though. But it should be getting people to interact in useful ways with your website. If all you do is lead people to your website and they take no action, then really it's not worth advertising.
Now, another myth I'm hoping you can bust for us is that there is a bid limit, a $2 CPC bid limit, and no matter what, you can't bid more than $2 with ad grants. So is this true or false in this day and age?
Technically, it's true if you're on the wrong bidding strategy. If you're using manual bidding, if you're using max clicks or target impression share, you will get capped at $2. But if you use max conversions, and there's a couple of other bidding strategies you can use, then you will overcome that and your account will bid as high as it needs to. And since you're asking about myths, the most common ones I hear are that you need to log in every 30 days and make and change the account at least every 90. That was a rule about 6 or 7 years ago. It's still a very good idea, because if you're not logging in regularly, you're probably not managing your account well. But these days, Google's more interested in the quality of your advertising rather than the frequency that you make changes. I'm going to call this a myth. It's sort of a myth, which is you'll often hear agencies in particular tell you that you can get an ad grant and get loads of donations, and it really doesn't happen. It might happen if you're the Red Cross. It might happen if you're one of those big name organizations. But for the rest of us, you should view the ad grant as a list building tool. Use it to build up your newsletter lists, but you can also use it to build up your audience sizes in Google Analytics. And then in a paid account, use the remarketing technique to show ads just to people who have interacted with your website in the past and therefore might be primed to put a donation ask in front of them. So the ad grant has a part to play in your donation strategy, but it isn't the be all and end all.
And in the ad grant account, you can only run search ads, not display network and not search network, I assume. Can you still use audiences as part of your search campaign in an ad grants account?
You can do that. You can do search remarketing, but the problem with that is that because an ad grant generally only gets less than 10% impression share, so you're below all those paid ads, you are getting kind of the crumbs that are left. You've already got a limit on how likely your ads are to be seen. Now, if you further restrict that by restricting the audience sizes, then you're not going to get seen much at all. I rarely use remarketing in an ad grant. The only time I use it probably is in combination with dynamic search ads, where you're allowing Google to show the ads to whoever it wants. Sometimes, coupled with a remarketing audience, that can show and get really good click-through rate and a good conversion rate. But otherwise, I tend to save remarketing for a paid account. You might have heard that it's impossible in ad grant, but they actually fixed that about 4 years ago. It was a feature that was broken. It wasn't they didn't allow you. It was just that some engineer at Google couldn't figure out how to make it work. It's amazing the things that Google's engineers are unable to fix sometimes.
One tactic I have heard people advise in ad grants, but that I have not personally advised, is to just throw a whole bunch of random keywords in there in an attempt to pick up whatever traffic you can get. I personally don't think this is a good idea, but I'm curious to hear your take, Jason. Would you recommend that a nonprofit just throw in a whole bunch of random stuff to try to pick up whatever scraps they can?
Right. The throwing spaghetti at the wall strategy. Yeah, you just get a messy wall. And you lose your dinner. I don't recommend this technique at all. I do see organizations doing it sometimes. There are specific types of organizations I see doing it a lot. Libraries, for example. A lot of libraries, being nonprofits, have an ad grant. They just free books is their keyword. And yeah, you get a massive amount of traffic for that. But nobody ever, first of all, the word free is FREE isn't a good idea to ever use, because nobody who wants something for nothing ever interacts usefully. Yeah, don't do it. It's why, by the way, the ad grant doesn't let you use a single word as a keyword, because without the context that an additional word brings, that extra facet you're adding to the search, you do just get completely irrelevant traffic. And it's why I would never use a keyword like donate, just that word on its own, because the chances are the person wants to donate to an organization like yours is very low. You might be an international aid organization and they want to donate to Miss Tiggy Winkle's The Hedgehog Sanctuary. And they're very unlikely to give to the people of Gaza when they have hedgehogs primarily in mind. Context is a big issue with Google Ads generally, but ad grants doubly.
And then I know there are restrictions around quality, or at least there used to be. You have to have a certain click-through rate, or you can get kicked out, a certain quality score. But a bunch of that changed when the CPC bid limits were lifted, and you could use conversion tracking instead. So if you are someone who is using an ad grants account on maximize conversions or a conversion-based bid strategy, are there any restrictions around, like, you must maintain a certain conversion rate?
Yeah, there's two separate things there because you've got quality scores for keywords and you've got conversion rate. Now, prior to, I think it was about January, February 2018 when they brought the new ad grant rules in. Prior to that, there were pretty much no restrictions, no quality rules in place. And you can see it if you go back and look at some old ad grant accounts and just how terrible their click-through rates were, and often no conversion tracking at all. So they couldn't prove they were getting any kind of results. So they brought in a few rules. Conversion tracking, for example, you have to have it after 90 days. So they give you a 3-month grace period to set it up because it is a bit tricky. It's probably the most tricky aspect of using Google Ads at all. You have to connect to Google Analytics. You have to figure out how on earth Google Analytics 4 works. You have to create custom events in it to track what people are doing on the website. You have to import that to Google Ads. It's a nightmare. But once you figure that out, then you have to use a conversion-based bidding strategy. So that's conversions. There is a secondary rule that you shouldn't go over 15%, 15%, for conversion rate. And the reason is that I see some accounts where they've got like a 200% conversion rate. In other words, they're saying every visit to the website is doubly useful to us. Like 100% visits are useful and then some. With conversion tracking, you can really kind of overcount useful visits. So what they're doing with that rule is forcing you to focus your advertising on the 10% of most useful, most interactive visits to your website, so the system can learn from them and improve results based on your top visits. And the other rule, of course, is keyword quality score, where you mustn't go below 3. So if you have a 1 or a 2 out of 10 for a keyword, that's not good. Now, you'll have to add that column in Google Ads because by default, it isn't there. And I add the columns for quality score, landing page experience, and add relevance to every account in the keywords report so that I can always monitor these. And if you start seeing that you're getting not just a 1 or a 2, but I don't keep any that are a 3 or a 4 either. And I try not to have 5. I want all my keyword scores 6 or above. You won't get many that score 10. That'll be your brand name and probably nothing else. And then I like the other 2 columns because I want to know, like, if I'm getting low scores, is it the landing page consistently that's letting us down? Or is it the ad relevance? The ad relevance, you can just fix that in Google Ads easily by looking at your keywords and your ad text. The landing page, you probably got to go to a web developer and then it gets possibly more complex, but at least you can identify that's what's letting you down. And sometimes it's that you're sending people to the wrong landing page.
Jason, you have shared so much amazing value, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today, because it's rare to find someone like you who really specializes in Google Ad Grants and knows this program inside out. So if our listeners either work at a nonprofit or work with nonprofits and are looking for some help, what are a few of the ways you can help them out?
Well, the ways I can help them out are with my Ad Grants course, which I sell via course.kingjason.co.uk. I also can be signed up for individual consultancy sessions lasting an hour and a quarter each. Apart from that, I would say if you need help with ad grants, go to the Google Ad Grants forum. There's an official forum for ad grants. There's also an official forum for Google Ads generally, and there is a forum for Google for nonprofits, particularly if you're having trouble signing up. So those forums are really useful. I'm certainly monitoring them for anybody with grants or issues or from a nonprofit. I reply to everyone.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you for inviting me, Jyll. It's been a pleasure.
Wow. Just wow. You can see why I invited Jason to join me on the podcast, right? The links to everything Jason mentioned, his course, his one-on-one consultation, the various help forums are in the episode description. I'll be featuring more guests over the next few episodes to share their expertise on Google Ads topics that fall outside of my expertise. To make sure you don't miss a thing, sign up for the Inside Google Ads episode transcripts at free.jyll.ca. That's JYLL.ca. I'm Jyll Saskin Gales, and I'll see you next time with my next guest, Inside Google Ads.